What is up, YouTube? My name is Eben, and today I am bringing you a deck I've been wanting to bring you for a long time. We finally have a way to really, I think, make this guy work, and the card is Mega Beedrill EX. This guy's a pretty obscure promo, I think, for a lot of people. He came out, and it was kind of exciting because his regular EX form had an interesting and kind of relevant attack for just a little bit there, but this guy always kind of fell away as a nice idea, but just not quite something you can execute. So we'll take a quick look at him. He's a Mega Evolution. He's 200 HP. He's got a fire weakness, not the best weakness, but you know, that's kind of everybody's got an unfortunate weakness right now. No resist. He has a free retreat, which is very powerful. As I think everybody pretty much knows by now, if you got a free retreat, you're talking about something that's definitely pretty useful because you can pivot in and out so easily, and this guy's your primary attacker. So free retreat on him is amazing. And for 2 grass energies, he deals 40 damage. And the first line of text here is pretty scary. Discard all energy attached to this Pokemon. Okay, it's a 2 colorized energy attack, so you can't use double colorless to get around it. I have to have 2 grass to deal 40 damage, and I discard all my energy? Oh my gosh. I sure hope the rest of these words are good. Well, lucky for you, they are. They're actually very good. It says your opponent's active Pokemon is now paralyzed. Yeah, there's no coin flip there. It just guarantees paralysis. And you also get to put 4 damage counters instead of 1 on that Pokemon between turns for poison. So basically you hit them for 40, guarantee paralysis. They take 40 more damage between turns, so they have 80 damage, and they're paralyzed, and when they pass turn, they'll take another 40 to be 120 total, plus whatever you do to them on your turn. This would still be only okay. I mean, yeah, you could free retreat after you discard your 2 energies to power yourself up, but it still lacks a little bit of oomph. But as you will see pretty soon, we have the perfect solution to that. Some of you have probably already seen it or have guessed. But first things first, we're also going to run 3 Beedrill EX. You could get 3 of the set or just buy the promos online. They're not really that expensive. He's 160 HP, does have a 1 energy retreat, still weak to fire. For 1, he can just discard any 2 Pokemon tool cards attached to your opponent's Pokemon anywhere. That's pretty cool. That's what gave this guy kind of a brief bit of fame a while back when he first came out. And then for 2 energy, he deals 40 damage times the number of coins you can get right, and you get 4 coins. So average of 80 damage. It's okay. It's a decent secondary attack. You know, I'm not gonna complain. I'm not gonna complain about this guy. I'm really not. So the combo here is a way to make Mega Beedrill's Hazard Stinger something practical. And we're going to be using from Shining Legends Venusaur. His Jungle Totem makes all your grass energies basically count as like a double grass energy. In other words, instead of 1 grass energy, you get 2. They don't stack, but that's fine because it basically makes it to where Mega Beedrill only needs 1 grass energy to Hazard Stinger, and so you can just do it every single turn. Pretty amazing because it makes it very difficult for your opponent to deal with, and obviously we can use Guzma to great effect to force some plays out of our opponent just to kind of stay in the game. Pretty amazing. Venusaur does have a big retreat cost, but that's alright. We're rarely going to attack with it. He's here just to sit on your bench and make Mega Beedrill really scary. That's his job. He can attack for 90 with Solar Beam, but that's not going to be relevant too very much. We're running 2 Ivysaurs because we really don't want to rely too very much on any other way of getting him into play. Obviously, we just want Ivysaur because it's solid, it's reliable, we can search it out with Ultra Ball, etc. And we've gone with 3 Bulbasaurs to try to get this guy on the bench just a little bit more easily, but we're remembering this is support, and getting more than 1 doesn't really mean anything to us. So, beyond that, we're running a Alolan Vulpix, just because of its beacon attack, straight up. That's the whole reason this mon made the deck. And we have ways to search this so that we can get it out, and then we can use beacon to go get, say, Mega Beedrill or Ivysaur or Venusaur or whatever we need to kind of complete what we're doing here. And finally, we are running just 2 more Pokemon, and they're 2 copies of Tapu Lele GX. This is just for the Wonder Tag to make sure we can get the right supporter, and we do have some nice utility supporters here like Skyla to definitely hit with our Wonder Tag. So that's the Pokemon lineup right there. Pretty straightforward, really. Just our primary attacker, his support Pokemon, his primary support line, the Venusaur, and then just a couple of utility supports beyond that, and that's all she wrote. Supporter-wise, we have 4 Sycamores, kind of the obligatory most powerful draw card. And then we've also got 4 Ns, because we don't want to discard too many of our evolution support mons. Like, you don't want to discard your Ivysaurs to try to get your Venusaurs, obviously. So this is a pretty good draw option, especially in the early game for us. So we got 4 there, although that is getting to be kind of standard for a lot of folks. We've got 2 copies of Lily, because she can be an amazing first turn supporter, of course, especially when we don't need to search the Vulpix for whatever reason. Then she's a nice option, and we do tend to play our hand out a bit in this deck, so she can be pretty nice in the mid to late game as well. We have a Pokemon fan club. This is because we don't run GXs, and so we want to be able to get Beedrill EX as our basic Pokemon, or this is our way to access our Vulpix, but it can also go get Tapu Lele without putting her directly onto the bench, of course, so we can play her for her Wonder Tag ability. So pretty useful there. We're running it over Bridget basically because of Beedrill EX, since we can't really get that with Bridget and still profit, because Bridget would only be able to get just the EX. It wouldn't be able to get multiple cards anymore because of how Bridget is worded. We have 1 Skyla. This is an amazing utility for picking up whatever card we need for the situation, such as our Spirit Link, or if we need like a Floatstone, or just whatever. It's an amazing utility card, and we really do kind of need it here. We can also use it to get something like even like Revitalizer if we really need to. And finally, we're running 3 Guzma. Mega Beedrill really does like to exploit control of our opponent's Pokemon. We can get something they're trying to power up, call it up to the front, hit it pretty significantly, force them to try to retreat it out with their own Guzma or whatever. I think you kind of get where this is going. Obviously, Guzma is so good in so many decks, but it's especially good in a deck like this where their active Pokemon is in so much jeopardy, is in so much trouble right from the start just because Mega Beedrill touched it. Moving on to our items, we're running relatively standard here, of course. Obviously, we got 4 Ultra Balls. A little less standard, we are running our Nest Ball. And this was kind of a one-of throw-in, but I liked it because it could go get our Beedrill EX, or obviously can also get us access to our Vulpix. And it's just kind of like, for our purposes in this deck, I felt like it was sort of that nice extra Pokeball, because there wasn't something that could kind of get like Venusaur and Mega Beedrill and the basics we needed. So I felt like it was kind of the most common need was met by Nest Ball. Feel free to experiment a little bit yourself if you want. We're running 3 rare candies. We really want to get that Venusaur up nice and quickly. This is another great Skyla target, obviously. We're running 3 copies of our Beedrill Spirit Link. Once again, we just want to really make sure it happens, and that's 1 for each of our Megas, so that's a pretty good ratio there. We've got 2 Floatstones. These are almost exclusively for our Venusaurs. Play them a little judiciously, obviously. Try to save them or else they're going to get field blowered away. We run 1 copy of Revitalizer. This can be great for calling back our Mega Beedrills, or like say an Ivysaur and a Venusaur, or however you might need. So pretty useful there. And we're running Energy Recycler because we have a relatively low energy count, all things considered, especially since we're discarding energies. So in the late game, this can be amazing for calling back 5 energies to the deck, giving us very good odds in the late game of drawing that energy every turn that Mega Beedrill thrives on. So we really do need that. I tried Super Rod to give us a little flexibility, but this is definitely proven to be more useful for what we do. We've got 2 Field Blowers. For one thing, this... Well, in a lot of cases, I don't feel like we really necessarily need the Field Blower to get rid of things like Choice Band or, say, Fighting Fury Belt. Garbodor does make this thing pretty necessary at 2, but it doesn't hurt that it can get rid of other things or even stadiums and whatnot as well. That's just icing on the cake. And finally, we are running 2 Sea of Nothingness. For those decks that want to evolve, but might be able to survive the initial hit from Beedrill otherwise, this can be a nice way to keep those status effects down on their Pokemon and make their life a little harder. Honestly, in a lot of matches, I didn't necessarily think it was as useful as others. It's just, in the matches where it is useful, it's really useful. Plus, you can get rid of other stadiums. But if you want to experiment with the deck a bit, this is probably one of the more flexible cards you can try moving out and turning into something different and kind of see how it runs with something else. Obviously, we can't use Forest of Giant Plants anymore, as it is out of format and super banned in the ones where it's still legal. But, I mean, if it were, obviously, we'd be running Forest of Giant Plants. But there you go. That's something we can... that's a pretty good item lineup we can get behind. It's pretty smooth, keeps the deck running. And finally, our energy count, we are just running 10 grass energies. And it might seem like, oh my goodness, you're discarding energies. You're only running 10. That's madness. But remember that the only Pokemon that really wants an energy is virtually always going to just be Beedrill, and he only needs 1. And even if you want to attack with Tapu Lele, let's say, because you're in that situation, Remember, with Venusaur up, which it should always be, that's the point of the deck, this counts as a single energy. So it's like you're running 10 double colorless energies, essentially. So we really just need the 10, and we can always restock them with our energy recycler. And remember, if you need your energy recycler a little sooner, that's part of why we have Skyla. So anyway, there you go. That is the deck. Give it a try. It's a lot of fun. I think there's some room to kind of perfect it, but I just really enjoy Mega Beedrill. It's such a fun deck. Anything with guaranteed paralysis is worth kind of messing around with. But anyway, until next time, like, comment, subscribe, check me out on my channel. You'll find all kinds of cool stuff like this and a lot of decks that I've played in tournaments and placed pretty well with. So it's definitely worth checking out, and I will see you next time.